We've talked about how stars get names, but again, just in keeping to help out, because you've got got some labs coming up here that use star charts and things. So I want to make sure you're familiar with that. Even though the book doesn't talk about this until a later chapter, I want to make sure you're familiar with other things that are marked on the star charts, and that is non-stellar objects. Since the earliest days of telescopes, Galileo Galilei, when he first pointed a telescope at the sky, he noticed that there were little fuzzy patches in the sky and didn't know what to make of that. Okay. Now, later astronomers started realizing that some of these fuzzy patches moved around the sky like planets, and so those were comets. But others stayed put. And so French astronomer Charles Messier here was a comet hunter. So he liked to search for comets. And so he made a list of all the little fuzzy things were not comets. Now, the reason is that while, there was a comet visible to the naked eye this past summer, you could actually go out and see a little fuzz thing with a tail. Okay, most comets look like fuzzy stars. Even in the telescope, it looks like just a fuzzy star. Well, a lot of these other things look like fuzzy stars too. And so he made a list of the things that are not comets that stay put. So it doesn't confuse. When he finds it, he knows it's not really a comet. Well, they publishes this catalog. So the Messier catalog is the publication here of all of these things that he found that were little fuzzy things that were not comets. And so it has 110 objects in here. And, well, really it's got 109 objects because one of them is duplicated accidentally. But these are all the things that in the small telescope look fuzzy to him. Now, they don't always look fuzzy to me. Some of them look pretty obvious they're not comets. But to him, he wanted to make absolutely sure. So we refer to these things by Messier number 1. Messier 1 means the first thing in the Messier catalog, or just M1, because a lot of astronomers are too lazy to say Messier. Okay, and so M1. And so M1 is the first thing in the catalog, and M2 is the second thing in the catalog. M1 is actually an expanding cloud of gas from when a star exploded over 1,000 years ago. M31 is the Andromeda Galaxy. It's actually a galaxy similar to our own Milky Way galaxy. M57 is an expanding cloud of gas given off when a star like the Sun died. M42 is actually a cloud of gas in the constellation Orion that's collapsing to form new stars. M45 is actually a cluster of stars that all formed about the same time out of the same cloud of gas. Now, some of these things have other names and so forth, but this is the Messier designation. This is their entry in the Messier catalog. Most astronomers refer to these things by the M number, the Messier number, because that's a lot easier than, and it's unambiguous what thing you're talking about. Well, the problem was after he died, he quit adding to his catalog. Well, I mean, that's to be expected. He's not a vampire or a zombie. So what he did was, after he died, the catalog quit being added to. Later astronomer William Herschel comes along, and William Herschel makes what he calls the general catalog of non-stellar object, and it has like upwards of 1,000 objects in it. And then he dies and quits adding to his catalog. And so eventually what happened was that a fellow named Jonathan Dreyer, creates what's called the New General Catalog. And this is in the late 1800s. And so we refer to something in the New General Catalog as NGC. It has 10,000 objects in it. So NGC 7006 is the 7006th entry into the catalog. As soon as he finished the catalog and published it with 10,000 objects in it, telescopes discovered even dimmer objects. So he publishes what he calls the index catalogs, IC, which is a supplement to the NGC and has another 10,000 objects in it. Shortly after he finished that, really big telescopes came online that found millions of objects, and most of them don't have a nice, neat catalog entry like this. Instead, they have they're referred to by their position in the sky. And so we'll talk more about how those positions are figured later. So the Andromeda Galaxy is also Messier or M31, and it's also NGC 224 because the new general catalog pretty much listed everything that existed in the sky up to that point. So these are the non-stellar catalogs that supplements all the star names. Later this semester, we'll be talking about galaxies, and when I refer to a galaxy, I'll give the name as M something or NGC something, and this is how you know what we're talking about. These are the catalog names.